It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job, episode 84 today. My name is Mike. That's Brian.
Yo.
Our guest today, Robin Duveen, President, COO of Gafcon, Inc. How you doing, Robin?
I'm great. What about you guys?
Doing fantastic.
You're wonderful. Thanks, Robin.
Appreciate you coming down.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Awesome. So, kind of how we get a lot of these started. Give us a little history, a little rundown how you got started in this industry and that road to where you are now today with Gafcon.
Sure, no problem. You know, it starts off with my parents. My parents live in Cape Town, South Africa. As you can see, I'm not the one who speaks funny. It's you guys, right? That speak funny, right?
That's fine. I'm all right with that.
but it started many years ago, and I wanted to be a lawyer, and my parents said to me, "No, you don't want to be a lawyer." They said, "You want to do a trade." And
really?
So, yeah.
Wow. That's the opposite of what I've heard.
Were they in trades at all?
No, not at all. Actually, my mother is a realtor today. My dad's in the retail business.
Still in Cape Town, or are they out here
No,
now?
still in Cape Town.
Okay.
And so my response to them was, well, what is a trade? I don't even know what that is, right? So anyway, I listened to them like a good son should listen to his parents, right? And I went to go study construction management. That's what I graduated in, construction management, in Cape Town, South Africa. A little bit different there, I believe, compared to the way it's done today. You know, there's a practical side that you have to do as well. So instead of just hitting the books and learning, you've got to go into the job sites and you've got to work. And,
so they actually make you get your hands on dirty and your boots dirty, and seems a little odd, right? Why would you want to do that?
So that's what I did. You know, I used to, go study for about 6 months, then go onto the sites. I worked for a general contractor. I did my internship with them back in the day. It was great. It was an excellent way to learn. You see it firsthand.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you literally throwing bricks. You plastering walls. You laying bricks. You're doing what needs to be done. Was I perfect? Far from that. Right. I could tell you that right now. But at least,
Hopefully litigation is not what it is out here in California, right?
It is totally different. I can tell you a few stories of how it works there compared to the way it works over here. Completely and utterly different. Right. I wish it worked this way, but it doesn't.
They probably keep the lawyers out over there, right?
Lawyers? I don't think we have lawyers in South Africa. But anyway, so, great experience. You're seeing how things are built, and that's the most important thing. Yes, can you learn from a book? Sure, you can learn from a book, right? But having that practical experience was tremendous. So, I think I did 6 months on, then I did some practical experience, and I did a year, 6 months on, and then I went back and studied. Eventually, I graduated. I didn't return to that company, although it was a great company to work for. I decided I wanted to go work for a development company. So there's a great company today in Cape Town stores called Robin Properties. I worked for them for about 5-6 years. As developers, they also manage their own projects. So I had the ability to be a project manager,
project management,
working for a development company. It was
residential, commercial development.
It was everything. I was lucky that
got a little bit of everything.
I had a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So I started out studying. I started out working on residential projects, which is what I did. Eventually, they moved me over to the commercial group. And, I actually was involved and built quite a few retail centers. We sold land to McDonald's. I specifically remember this. This was the second and the third McDonald's that ever came to South Africa. And we were the landlords, obviously. We were the developers, so we were the one that sold them the land. And they built McDonald's on some of these
cool.
projects, which was pretty amazing at the time. Yeah. But, a whole bunch of different retail projects, to building produce stores, to building one of the projects, it was called Motor City. So it had a dealership, it had, specialty retail stores from tire places and so forth. So I was just tremendously lucky that I had the opportunity to work and learn. I was disappointed that I had to leave that company. It was just a great company to work for. But at the time, Cape Town, South Africa, I don't know how much you know about South Africa, but
Little to nothing,
little to nothing.
other than what the people sound like.
One of the most wonderful countries in the world. Unfortunately, it's riddled with crime today.
Right.
It's the biggest issue that faces South Africa, that and many other challenges. It was almost like the brain drain. A lot of my contemporaries were leaving at the time. And so I had to decide, well, do I want to stay on or do I want to move? I was speaking to my wife, was married at the time, and I said, I think we need to move. I mean, everybody's moving around us. And the question was, okay, where in this whole wide world should we go? And who do we know? Right? And it just so happens that through my wife's stepfather, he had a connection with Gaf, who's the owner of Gafcon today. And that's how I came to San Diego. So I was lucky because, first of all, I came to the United States of America, which we still believe today, despite what we see going on. And I'm not going to get into politics and things like that. I think we saw that the other night, right? But still one of the greatest countries in the world to live in. I immigrated here for a reason, to become a United States citizen. I mean, that's why I immigrated. Yeah. So one, I was lucky I could come to the United States, and two, I was even more lucky because I could come to San Diego, right?
Yeah.
And what a town, right?
Yeah.
What a city, and very similar to Cape Town. It's very similar climate, just a lot of similarities, and so I came. I'd never been out of South Africa before. I jumped on
picked up and moved. Huh?
I had to say goodbye to my family. My entire family still lives in Cape Town today.
Wow.
I packed 2 bags. My wife packed 2 bags. We got on the plane. My father-in-law actually lives in LA, and he was probably one of the very first pioneers that made a move to America about 40 years ago. Not common at that time because South Africa was still flourishing at the time, was doing really well. And but he did that. So got on the plane, came to San Diego on a Friday. Arrived in LA, stayed with my in-laws over the weekend, got in a car. My father-in-law brought us down to San Diego. Stayed in a hotel for 1 or 2 days. Went to work on the Wednesday at Gafcon. Walked in. Saw Gaf. I mean, I'd met Gaf a couple of times before. He had come to Cape Town, South Africa with his wife, Pam. So obviously I met him, I know him. And he walked me into this office and he dumped this set of drawings on the table and he said,
Figure it out. Yeah. And when was this? When did you guys immigrate?
98. End of 98,
okay.
December 98. And I started to look at these plans and I said, what is this? Right? First of all, it's a totally different system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, feet, inches.
Yeah, I was going to say no more metric system.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I don't know what that is. I'm used to the metric system, right? There was terminology I didn't understand. I mean, believe it or not, even the word lid, right? You talk about a hard lid.
Yeah.
I had no idea what lid is, right? And so, I had to try figure this out, work through all of this. Anyway, so went home that evening. I came back the next day, which was a Thursday. I can't remember exactly what I did. Went to my supervisor and said to him, you don't mind if I start work on Monday? I said, I don't have a car. I got to go get a car. And I got to go get an apartment. So just give me
some necessities.
Some necessities, right? Just give me a few days and I'll see you on Monday. And Monday, sure enough, got a car, bought a car, I never forget, a Volkswagen Jetta. It had a broken transmission. I mean, not a broken transmission. I broke
that'd be a problem. Right?
It's stick shift, so that was gone. And it only had done 7,500 miles. So the previous driver was not very good in working a stick shift. Had to get that repaired, and then moved into apartment. Started work on Monday, and that's what it was. Never been out of South Africa. Came to this big, country, one of the largest countries in the world, and it's just still trying to figure things out, right? And was in the middle of winter, so it's December 98, So trying to get used to
San Diego doesn't have winter.
That's right. That's right. It was dark at the time, right? So at 4:30, it gets dark in San Diego, and that was something new to me. I'd never seen, something being dark at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Wasn't used to that, and then trying to figure out how to drive home from downtown San Diego up north. That was tricky, but that's my background. Then I worked, and I was, blessed. I was lucky.
How long did it take you to learn the imperial system other than...
I don't know if I've even learned that properly.
Still working on that one?
Yeah, I still try and figure that one out. It took a while. It took probably a good year to actually get into it and actually understand it.
I'm sure there was a huge learning curve, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fundamentals are the same, right? I mean, you're putting a building up. But
that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
The difference is, in California we have earthquakes, right? So you build in predominantly with wood.
Right.
If you build, residential and apartments and things like that, of course you build in steel and other things. But South Africa, you predominantly build in brick or block. That's just the way that it works, right?
Yeah.
You don't get earthquakes in South Africa.
Speaking of earthquakes, did you see all that shit yesterday?
No.
There were like 40 or 50 earthquakes between like 2.5 and 4.5 out in by the Salton Sea.
Awesome.
Westmoreland. Yeah. Within like a 5 or 6 hour period, they were like one every 5 or 8 minutes. I'm surprised you guys didn't feel them down there. Some of the bigger ones, I think the biggest one was like 4.8 or 4.9.
No, I didn't feel it at all. Not at all.
Crazy. It was like every 5 minutes, like watching a little ticker.
No, I'm scared of earthquakes. Believe me, I don't want to feel
all my
them.
life.
No, they're not. As long as they're not like Northridge, right, where you create big sinkholes and cracks in the earth. Like usually they're okay. They're a little fun. Take a little ride in your house.
Right. So just to continue, so I started off doing, a whole bunch of different projects over, I've been with Gafcon, since then. I mean, it's my 22nd year with Gafcon.
Wow.
I've touched just about every different type of construction project there is, whether it be residential, whether it be, retail, whether it be, you name it. I've tilt-ups, I built a big tilt-up for Scott's manufacturing facility back in the day in Temecula. Believe me, you didn't get tilt-ups in South Africa, but you had precast buildings, but it was something new as well, and something I learned. So, I was fortunate again. Once enough, I was just fortunate enough to be able to, tackle and handle these projects. San Diego State was definitely one I could look back in my career. Chapultepec Hall was a dorm. At the time, it was the largest mold remediation project in the nation. I say at the time, of course, there's been larger ones since then. But that was new. That was the whole mold abatement thing started coming in. And, people were still trying to figure it out and so forth. And, we had some challenges, and our build back schedule got reduced to put an outside skin and a brand new mechanical system in 4.5 months. And I had 140 people within a building scrambling to get it done. We did. We got it done. I recall on the day, there were about 2,500 parents and kids waiting outside, and we still were getting we were still getting the fire marshal to final approval.
Pulling down scaffolding still.
But we got it, and that was great. I used to be 7'4" and have a full set of hair, but that's disappeared now, So that was a tremendous experience, and just a one-off project where you could learn from. I remember that afternoon, I think they had a sewage problem, and I just said, "Guys, I'll see you tomorrow." So somebody else can handle it now.
So kind of speak to that a little bit. What's the? I mean, I have to imagine, just because, and I don't know anything anywhere else in the world, but is there a difference in the pace of work and the expectations and the urgency on projects here in the U.S. versus Cape Town?
You alluded earlier, and you mentioned litigation.
Yeah.
And that's one of the key factors. There is no litigation in Cape Town, South Africa. Of course, there's lawyers there. I mean, we know that, right? But it would be really, really rare, to actually...
Do people just figure shit out between them?
I mean, I'll give you a classic
Sit down at a table and let's figure it out?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we had just finished a huge retail shopping center. And, of course, we had liquidated damages in the contract. I don't know what it was, $5,000. I was going to say $5,000, but it wasn't dollars. It was rands, which is the currency in South Africa. I can't remember what it was, but we had LDs. The contractor probably was about 2 weeks late in getting the job completely done. But we had contingencies. We weren't going to open for another 3-4 months anyway, because, you have to allow for your tenants to come in and do what they need to do.
Stuff and everything.
And so, it was great. It was just bring the contractor in. It was simple as this. You're not going to charge, you're not going to, send me an invoice or send me a change order for X amount of dollars for delays. And I'm not going to charge you LDs. And you shake hands and it's done. And that's the way that it is. And you go have a beer afterwards and go out and have some great dinner. And you'll use that contract again on the very next project, because that's just the way that it works there. I don't know what it's like today, but I could definitely tell you back in the days when I was still working in the industry there, that's the way that it was handled. Yeah, you are correct. I do think everything is very fast moving. Yeah, I mean, South Africa is a little bit more laid back than America. Yeah, there's a lot of machinery, equipment. How you get it done quicker, how you get it done more efficiently. South Africa is done more by hand. So, you'll get concrete trucks coming in and you're going to do a concrete pour. That's the way it is. Mainly in South Africa, if you're batching concrete, it's self-batched on the job site. That's just the way that it is.
No kidding.
When you're laying bricks, the laborers will build scaffolding that morning. For the first half an hour, they'll build the scaffolding, they'll mix the mortar, with the shovel. They'll throw the mortar up there, however they get it up there, stack the bricks. The bricklayer comes on and he starts laying the bricks. And that's the way that it is. And that's how they do it. Huh. And it works out well. I mean, the quality is excellent, still.
Oh, yeah, handcrafted.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you've lost, you seem to have lost that. I think you seem to have lost that a little bit, in terms of quality.
For sure. Yeah.
And you definitely have lost it there. I mean, you use the term craftsman. I mean, that's really what it is. You don't see that anymore. Yeah. And it's mainly because, you've got clients, you've got owners that
want it faster and bigger.
They want it faster and bigger and quicker and get it done. And that's really what it's all about, right? And so there's a lot of pressure.
The competition forces you to become more efficient at other things to be able to turn a profit, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, for sure. So, speak to the journey you've had inside Gafcon a little bit. It sounds like you started in project management, had to learn a shit ton, right, to come up to speed to how things are done here. What's your life been like with Gafcon to where you are now as COO? So,
it's been great. Gafcon's a great company. I think for somebody to be around and with the company for 22 years, that's a great testament to the company.
Right. Is part of that because there's a family relationship and you're kind of stuck there?
Because because I'm live and you're gonna post this, I'm gonna say absolutely, right? Mrs. Gaffin, who's one of the owners of the company, she always it's a partnership between Gaff, Yehudi Gaffin, he goes by Gaff, and by Pam Gaffin. She always said to me, you've earned it. It's you've got to go out there and you've got to earn it. It's not, don't take things for granted.
Yeah.
And if I was promoted into a position, whatever it was over time, she would always, I'd always say thank you, Pam, I really appreciate it. And she says, don't thank me. You've earned it. It's as simple as that. And it goes back to one of my mother's principles as well. She always used to say to me when I grew up, she said, hard work never kills anyone. I really don't understand that, right? I think, when I was a little bit naive when I was younger, I understood it then, but I don't know about that. If it's that
get a little
today,
bit older,
right?
That hard work might actually kill me.
It doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But I mean, you understand what she was trying to say. She was trying to say, if you work, if you persevere, things will happen. Good things will happen to you. And so, you're right. I started out as an assistant project manager in Gafcon. I'll never forget it. I was in an office like this, at this conference room, except it had, there were 3 walls of glass, and one was obviously a solid drywall. And to be candid, I was really bored in my first 9 months. You think you come out of a pretty good job in Cape Town, South Africa, where I was in a fairly good position there. I was well respected,
right?
And the expectation was I could come here and I would shine immediately, right? And that's what's going on in my head,
right. Especially being young like that.
Absolutely, and it didn't happen that way.
Sticking your chest out a little bit.
Absolutely, and it just did not happen that way. It, of course, I was doing work, but it wasn't as fast moving as I wanted. I thought it would be more challenging and so forth. But I could tell you after those 9 months, it certainly picked up.
Yeah.
And I would always go back and I'd tell my wife, I'd say, Jesus, I'm having a hard time. I'm struggling here. I really want to work. I want to excel. I want to do what I need to do. Yeah. And she would always tell me, just be patient. Just take a deep breath. Be patient. Just work through it. And I listened to her, right? Because you should always listen to your wife.
Take notes, yeah.
Right. And it just from there, I had great opportunities. I went to a couple of community colleges to work. I had some opportunities where one or two people left the company, and there were some slots that needed to be filled in. I went to Sweetwater Union High School District. I thought, I had a great time. Not a great time, but a great experience for me. I'd never really done schools, never mind even understand the school system in California, right?
Not like anybody understands it, especially right now. Yeah.
But I worked under Katie Wright. Katie Wright was the facilities director at the time. She's actually facilities director now at Grossman Union High School District. And, there's certain people I look back at my life, and she's one of them. And she was a great mentor. And she used to, although I was a consultant, she would push me and she would challenge me and, she would teach me. And I learned a tremendous amount about schools and not just schools. I mean, how funding works. How do you go get funding?
Governments and the grants,
you go up to Sacramento. One time I went up to Sacramento. Was able to, retrieve another $2.4 million for the district at the time because I really, I put my head into it and I tried to understand how do you get more funding, right, for a particular project. And that was a tremendous learning experience for me. And, Katie Wright afforded me that opportunity. And, I've always thanked her and appreciate what she's done and what she did then. But, there's other projects in my career. I just slowly moved up from APM to PM to senior PM to program manager. I went up to LA, actually. At some point, I actually went to go run the LA office. I moved up for about 4 or 5 months on my own. I then moved my family up for about 3 months. So it's my wife and I, 2 young kids back then. Not so young anymore. Well, they're young, but but not as young as they were there. And I got I had a meeting with Gaff, and I'd never forget it. And it was funny because I had a meeting with Pam before and the CFO of the company, and they were kind of like giggling a little bit, like laughing a little bit, and I couldn't quite understand what they were doing. But really what it was Gaff was going to meet with me next to say to me after I'd been in LA for 7 or 8 months, hey, we've got this big project in Orange County. We want you to go manage this project, right? I couldn't put 2 and 2 until Gaff had that conversation with me, and then I understood why that happened. So, I went to go work on the Orange County Great Park project for 5 years, just up the road. Also, tremendous experience working on that as well. When I left there, I believe I was then promoted to VP of operations, if I'm not mistaken. A couple of years later to COO, and then recently was made president of the company as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very cool. So, what's your day-to-day now? What are your roles in the company now?
That's a good. That's
well. What are your roles on paper, and what do you actually do?
So my focus has changed. I used to work more in the company, and right now I'm trying to work more on the company.
Right.
That's really what it is. Right now we're undergoing a massive undertaking in developing our strategic plan, and we've put a tremendous amount of effort into that over the last 9 months, where we've involved many members of Gafcon assisting in that, and we've really been concentrating on that. We're going to complete that by year end. It'll be the strategic plan for Gafcon over the next 5 years. And that's where I've been putting the majority of my focus. Obviously, I focus also more on internal operations than I do external. I have a director and I have a VP that handle that as well. Does that mean that I don't get involved in the external operations? Of course not. I mean,
right.
you know, you're president, CEO of the company. That's what you do.
Yeah. Kind of responsible for all of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I do focus more internally than I do externally. I mean, there's a lot going on internally as well. And that's primarily been my focus. You know, we're 150 employee company. And at Gafcon, you roll up your sleeves. I mean, that's just the way it's done. You roll up your sleeves and you get the job done, whatever it is. It doesn't matter if it's a small issue. It doesn't matter if it's a large issue. It's just the way that it is. And we work, you know, collaboratively together. You help your partners. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do as part of our executive team. You know, we joined at the hip. We help each other. And that's what we do. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's just the Gafcon
Are Gaff
way.
and Pam still involved in the company?
So Gaff is very much so. Gaff is the CEO of the company. Pam is not as much involved in the company. She still is a stakeholder, obviously, but Pam decided to retire a couple of years ago. Hence the reason the presidency was passed over to me.
Yeah.
But Gaff's like the Duracell bunny. You know,
He's never gonna stop.
He will never stop. I mean, I could maybe retire in 20 years and
He's still going.
keep on going. You know, I mean, you know, that's one thing I've always said about Gaff. He's an incredibly hard worker. You know, and you know.
Well, it sounds like that translates through to a lot of your employees too, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, when they see somebody like that grinding and working hard and, like you said, rolling up their sleeves,
Absolutely.
it's hard not to want to follow that.
Right, absolutely. And so, you know, will Gaff retire? No, he won't. I mean, that's just the way that it is. He enjoys working. You know, he gets out of bed. I mean, you know, one of his sayings is, you know, it comes Friday and he goes, "Oh no, I'm so upset. It's the weekend," right? You know, well, most of us are choosing TGIF, right? You know.
What kind of work are you guys doing right now? Where do you guys see yourselves being most successful?
So, you know, we involved in a bunch of different markets, right? Market sectors right now. Our core business is in education. So K through 12, community colleges, higher ed, public work, municipalities and so forth. That's really our core business, probably 75 to 80% of our business. You know, so we have a bunch of projects obviously in San Diego and in LA as well, big bond programs that we're working on. You know, we're lucky, we're blessed because it's essential work.
Right.
And, you know, we as
Which
a
is a term you never thought you'd have to understand, right?
Never, you know, never. And, you know, I say that, you know, every day. You know, I tell people that every day. I tell the employees every day, just, you know, be blessed.
Yeah.
You know, we can work. I mean, there's people out there, unfortunately, that don't have a job.
That's the way, I mean, we felt too as soon as all this happened. I mean, we're still working and
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
able
know,
to take a paycheck home and
absolutely. You take it for granted until it really happens.
Right.
Yep.
So that's where majority of our work is. You know, we're big into technology. That is huge for us. Gaff has always been a big believer in technology since inception of the company.
Now, when you say technology, I assume you mean like on-site technology as far as some of the tools and things involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm going to elaborate a little bit more. So we probably have about over 20 folks in our technology department. We call it our professional services team. It's primarily made up of two components, made up of BIM, VDC, which is Building Information Modeling, VDC, Virtual Design and Construction, and PMIS, which is Project Management Information Systems. So I'll start with PMIS softwares in order to run jobs. I mean, you need a system to run jobs. We are truly agnostic. I could say that now because we can install those systems for you. Unifier, Procore, eBuilder, you name it. We are able to do that as a company. what that allows you to do, obviously, is to focus. You be able to report, be able to produce reports,
and see everything.
Financial reports, absolutely. I mean, in the business, you talk about RFIs, you talk about submittals.
Yeah.
That's what this does, right? It's able to push that information out. Obviously, most importantly, are the financials as well.
Right.
So that's what the system does, and you can use it as a document repository, right? So a doc management system as well. So that's a big piece of the pie. The other pie is our digital representation, is being able to see something before it's been built, right?
All your drawings and all that
absolutely.
stuff.
So that is the future, period, right? I mean, if you're not doing that,
I mean, you're just
correct.
You're going to get left behind.
Absolutely. If for an architect to sit there and draw, I mean, that's I mean, it still happens, but it's digital representation right now. Seeing something, especially 3D. I mean, if you think back, and especially in the construction industry, and you dump a set of plans down on the table, and you say to a client or an owner, Mr. Owner, there's your drawings. He's
gonna go, huh? What?
That's exactly what it is, right?
Turn it upside down,
right? Exactly. Something falls out of it, right? They struggle. I mean, it's just most people struggle to read drawings, right? I mean, not just clients and owners, right? And so they don't really get that. They don't get the visual, and they don't really see what they're getting at the end of the day. So being able to see it before it's even drawn is incredible. So you have prevention of change orders coming down at a later date. You could use that. In operations, once your building is up and running, and in the operations, you're able to see a classic example. This has always stuck with me. Is imagine, right, being able to take a scissor lift, right, and put that into these 3D drawings, and see
a high level overview.
See if the scissor lift can actually sit, right, and be able to be in that location, because when you go up and you need to do the repair to the light, or if you need to do repair to the HVAC,
so you can actually get in there and figure out, see if it works.
And that's what this is the capability of that. I mean, you don't want to find it out later, right? You're gonna have to be able to take
the scissor lift, like, can't get there.
Beautiful light, but we'll never be able to change it,
right? So you got to take out get a ladder and 8 guys and pray, right, and hope for the best. But it's amazing, and this is the future of construction right now. Construction, unfortunately, is a little bit slow in picking up on this compared to most industries when it comes to technology, but it's starting to move now.
Yeah.
And as I say, that's a huge focus for us being able to integrate all of that together, the BIM part, the VDC, the PMIS together. That's a unique part of the business.
Well, and I think that's what a lot of especially general contractors and bigger contractors are lacking, is that integration of all those different systems, right? Because there are so many different systems. Because construction's been a little bit slower, there's been opportunity for all these other different companies to come in and create their own system and do their own thing, but very few of them, from what I understand, I'm not out there on the job every day, but it's hard to get them all to talk to each other. Or you've got 7 different systems, right? One for project management, and one for financial management, and one for scheduling, and so getting something that kind of to tie them all together, or somebody to come along and
it's all about integration.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, it's all about data.
Yep.
Right. I mean,
real-time data.
Real-time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Real-time data.
Yeah.
I mean, that is.
It doesn't do you any good to know that you were over on labor 3 weeks later.
That's correct.
Absolutely.
Job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is what it's all about. I mean, I think what makes Gafcon unique too is that there are there other companies trying to do this? Yes. But what's unique about Gafcon is that you actually have a construction company implementing this technology.
Right.
So we've seen it firsthand. We've actually been out in the site.
Yep.
We know what it's like. We've seen it. We've seen the issues. We've seen the challenges and so forth. So when you as an owner can have a conversation with us, I can talk to you not only about technology, but I can talk to you about the main subject, which is construction.
Right.
And there's you don't get that in companies.
So where are you guys sitting in the hierarchy of a project? And basically, who are you working for, and who are your clients, and how are you guys finding clients and getting work?
So what?
Because let me back up a little bit. So the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are not necessarily a developer or a general contractor, but more of a consultant to that process. Is that right?
So the way I explain it to people is that is correct. We don't build,
right,
and we don't design. Although we are looking at some design components, we've recently been looking at that. But generally, we don't build, we don't design. We are purely owner representatives,
right?
And our principal and our primary interest is owners, and that's what we emphasize to our employees. You are an owner now. Think like an owner, right? It's not our money. It's an owner's money, because the owner doesn't have the expertise to be able to do this, right? That's why they call upon somebody like us to be able to do it, right? But they certainly have the funds to be able to do it, and that's what we do. So we are consultants. That's exactly what we are, but we represent owners. Think like an owner. Be the owner at the end of the day. So my interest isn't the contractor. My interest on vendors, suppliers. That's not my interest. It's for the owner to have a very successful project at the end of the day.
So I have to imagine obviously it sounds like, if I understand it correctly, most of your business is coming from owners, right? And developers that are hiring you guys to manage the projects.
That is correct.
But for the GCs and the subs and everybody else underneath you, I have to imagine working with an owner who's using you as representation has to be easier and smoother and than working just for an owner who's just hired a general contractor. The reason why I ask is, is there a situation where, a GC gets hired to work for an owner and has come to you guys and said, hey, would you guys mind stepping in on this? Or
often.
So it happens both ways is what I'm trying to get
Absolutely.
at. Okay.
I mean, it happens often.
Yeah.
Owners believe, not all, believe that they can do it themselves.
Right.
This is easy, but
done it before.
We'll do it again.
Yeah.
And construction is complex. I mean, it's just
that, and every project's different. Doesn't matter if you're building the same apartment building.
I don't know why, because we always seem to be reinventing the wheel, and I don't understand that. Right? Still trying to figure that out.
It's more fun that way, man.
Right. So owners will call us.
That's why Gaff keeps coming to work. Everything's different.
Exactly. So owners call us, and they call us at various stages. Obviously we would like to be there from the get-go, from inception, which is planning, right? Help the owner plan through. To me, I've always stressed the importance of planning. If you plan a project well, you're going to have a successful project. Oh, yeah. If you don't plan your project well, it will not be successful. Right. You can't make up. Right. You can't make it up. In construction.
Can't do that shit on the fly.
No, you're just unable to do that, right? And so, yes, I mean, to answer your question, absolutely. I mean, does it happen? Yes. We also have a good reputation with contractors out there. We all about working with contractors. We don't see them as the enemy. We see them as an ally, right? At the end of the day, because we need them. We one team. This is all about collaboration. The owner, us, the contract, the subcontractors, vendor, suppliers, you name it, all the way down the chain. We're all together in this, and we all want to have a successful project. So having that great relationship with a contractor is important. Contractors will recommend us to owners and say, hey, if you're looking for a good company, I recommend Gafcon. That's just the way that it is. And so it comes many ways. I mean, referrals, recommendations. We've got to go out there and we've got to propose, right? A lot of the projects are public, so there's a public bidding process when it comes to that as well. It's competitive. I mean, it's become way more competitive these days than it ever used to be.
Is a company like you built into the public bidding process? I guess what I'm trying to get at, I mean, obviously the public bidding process is covering a general contractor and the trade subs below it, but somebody like you, kind of that middleman between the owner and the general contractor, there's actually an arena for that bidding process.
Absolutely, there is. So one of the first, obviously, two of the first consultants you really want to bring on board is you want your architects to come on board, right? And but first you want your program manager to come on board or your project manager to come on board. So there is a bidding process that happens. It's a real formal bidding process. Right. It's a little bit different, obviously, to a GC because a GC is all about numbers and certain things like that. Yes, we do have to submit fees, but it's more about feel and touch and management and relationships. Yeah. If you're a client and you're sitting down with our firm, the question that should go through your head is am I able to work with these folks on this project?
How efficient can they make me?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, and especially on these big, large bond projects that take, 5-10 years, some of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to be with the same firm, hopefully for 5-10 years. Am I able to work with these guys?
Right.
I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day, And so, yes, we go through, obviously, on private, it's different. You don't have to go through that formal process. But sometimes we do go through that formal process with private as well. But I could tell you on public, you have to go through the public written process. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah. So from a marketing standpoint, something we like to kind of talk about is what you guys are doing digitally, just because, we're here on a podcast, right? I mean, and that process and that seems to be kind of lost on contractors, or not necessarily lost, but it's new for contractors.
Absolutely.
Are there other things you guys are doing digitally, would be it social media or YouTube or anything along those lines that to kind of put yourselves out there?
So we do that. I mean, we do all of that you just mentioned. I mean, yes, we do a lot of social media. You have a lot of LinkedIn. I mean, I personally have a LinkedIn account as well. I have a lot of hits. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
We do podcasts right now.
Yeah.
I'm not the first one to do a podcast in Gafcon, but when it comes to social media, we do you name it, we do everything that we possibly can. We put email blasts out there. We've got Twitter accounts, we've got Facebook accounts. I mean, you could go to Facebook all the time. You could look up Gafcon. There's something new all the time. Do you see,
because we see that from the residential side, right? Because homeowners are more susceptible to being sold to on LinkedIn or not necessarily LinkedIn, but Instagram or Facebook and social media, those kind of things, right? And so we've heard from some of the, the companies that do strictly commercial, like, it's not really something we worry about because, developers and general contract, they're not looking at that kind of stuff. Do you see, is that something you guys are in line with, or is that?
No, absolutely we're in line with it. I mean, if you just take the current situation right now, right, with COVID, our business is all about pre-positioning. You don't want
so that when you walk in the room, somebody knows who you are and what you represent.
Absolutely. You don't want to just submit on a proposal to a client that they don't know you, right?
It's like asking the girl out for a date when you first see her, right? Yeah. Or before you meet her. Before you meet her.
You've obviously had that experience, right?
No. What are you?
Right?
Never been rejected like that. What are you talking about?
Right, of course. So it's been really difficult for us from that point of view because we're not able to get out there right now.
Right.
And you're meant to go to events, right? And every event has been cancelled this year. In our industry, you have a cash event which is for school events, or CCFC which is for community colleges and things like that. This is where you go and meet districts and you go and meet new people and
create the relationships.
Absolutely, But it's not just going to these events; it's other events, that happen continuously, right? And it's just not there right now, unfortunately. So, but I tell you, yes, there are a lot of proposals that are coming out, and there is work out there, obviously, and we're proposing just like everybody else is. So it's not like it's come to a complete standstill. I mean, you see residential work still being built, homes and things like that. You see a bunch of commercial work being done. Not done as quickly. I mean, obviously, there's been some major challenges in the last 6 months, but that's all happening. But that's us, I mean, to us, it's all about, we like somebody to refer us or something like that,
right.
Or we've done the handshake, we've done the meet and greet, and before we actually submit on a proposal, because I could tell you, if you just submit on a proposal, you've got pretty much zero chance of winning any work.
Ends up on a pile somewhere.
I mean, it happens. You get lucky once in a while, right? But that's not the way to do it.
Right.
So yes, I mean, just also getting back to social media and things like that. We weren't that big into it a couple years ago, but we made a push now.
Being deliberate about it.
Absolutely, to be more
kind
deliberate.
To create that personality before you meet them, or at least being a part of that. You know what I mean?
Be visible. And,
Like, oh yeah, I've seen you there, and I've seen you there, and
right, absolutely.
I shook your hand here, and then
that's exactly what it's all about. And everybody
multifaceted approach.
Right, absolutely, and everybody knows everybody in the construction industry anyway. It's a large industry, but it's a small industry because we all know each other, right? And that's really what it's all about.
So you talked a little bit about, that 5-year plan being nailed down by the end of the year. What are some of the things you guys are doing? What are some of those steps you're taking?
So
what are the goals there?
So obviously the goal is to try to grow the company. I mean, that's the most important.
In different
goal.
verticals, maybe, or in different sectors, or
so some are new, some are
just expanding your reach.
Exactly. Yeah. So obviously we'll keep CMPM or PMCM public sector. We'll still keep the private sector. Yes, we do more public sector work than we do private, but that changes. When Gafcon started 33 years ago, it was mainly doing private work. Thank goodness Gaf had the vision and realized about 20 years ago we should start getting into public work because we've been through 2 recessions, I think, 20 years ago over that period, and public work has kept us alive through all of it, right? Because of the extended period of time of these bonds. I mean, that's just really what it is.
Yeah, the length of them. Yeah.
We're starting to look at a new development side as well. Gaf is also a developer on the private side outside of Gafcon. I don't know if you've heard of Seaport Village, Gaf, and he's got 2 partners in Seaport Village.
Where's that at?
That's in downtown San Diego.
Yeah,
okay. It's going to be one of the largest iconic projects in San Diego by far.
Wow.
Mixed use. It's going to be incredible. I mean, I hope.
Is Seaport Village there now, and you guys are looking to develop?
Yeah.
Okay, over by the Midway.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's right next to it.
Exactly where that is.
You've got it. I mean, it's you could be on the Midway and
I love it
and be part of the project, right? Yeah. So Gaf, as I said, outside of Gafcon, he's a developer as well, and looking to build that. We're looking internally with Gafcon as well to look at some development projects as well because of the experience that we have from Gaf and from others.
Yeah.
Construction claims. We do. First of all, in the past we used to do a lot of expert witness work.
Yeah.
But now slowly we're looking more at construction claims through COVID right now. And you haven't seen a lot of it yet, but potentially there could be some claims come in because of the slowdown of construction and whatnot. And that could pick up, obviously, with the attorneys and so forth, and we would be able to assist in that.
So when you say construction claims, do you mean going in and help fix the problem once things have been done? Or
two components of that. Fix the problem before it happens,
right?
As well, right? So go in, help an owner, help a contractor, and say, look, there's some issues here. Let's fix this now.
So you would step in once a problem's realized.
Right, absolutely.
Hey, let's bring them in.
Right,
see
absolutely.
what we need to do.
I mean, you never wanted to get litigious. You don't want to go to court. It just gets expensive at the end of the day. Yeah. So try and fix it then. And the second a piece of that is, unfortunately, it'll be the after, right? Yeah. When it actually happens, and we'll go in.
It's almost like the mediator, right? Like you step in right at the beginning and be a mediator.
That's exactly what it is. We would step in and try be that mediator in the beginning. But, if it happens at the end, we'll step in and we'll do what we need to do as well.
It, yeah.
Obviously, we'll still focus on the technology side. We obviously want to extend and grow the BIM VDC part of the business and grow the PMIS part of the business as well. So, those are things that we've been looking at.
Are those services you offer outside of actually managing a project? So somebody just came to you and said, hey, we want to use your technology, regardless of whether or not you're being used on the job.
Licenses.
So most of our technology work, some of our technology work is we do on some of our projects that we already have.
Right.
So for some of the school districts, we have implemented the systems. But most of our work is actually done with outside clients, outside of Gafcon.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That's really how we do it.
So just kind of piecing it out for whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. But we like to call ourselves a one-stop shop. And it's not always about, hey, I'll give you the full package, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
We can offer labor compliance services. We have a terrific labor compliance department. We have a great leader, probably one of the best in California when it comes to labor compliance. We offer estimating services, scheduling services. I just talked about construction claims and so forth. So there's a whole bunch of services that we offer as well, other than we will just come in and be, a PMCM.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
We'll let you go after we take too much of your time. I appreciate you hanging out with us for a little while.
Yeah.
Let the people know where to find you. If you got social media, websites, phone numbers, emails, whatever, how do they get a hold of you?
So my cell is best 619.
Wait, you president of the company, you're going to give out your cell phone real quick? You sure that's something you want to do? We have hundreds of listeners.
All right, I won't do that. All right, so R Duveen, R and then D as in dog, U V Victor, EEN at Gafcon, GAFCON.com. Gafcon is one word.
Cool.
It's the best way to get hold of me, obviously, in my email. But you guys will find me on my cell phone if you need to find me. Believe me, it goes with me 24/7.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate the time. Thanks so much, Robin.
I appreciate it as well. Robin. It was great to meet both of you, and I certainly appreciate being here. And good luck. I mean, this was great.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are terrific. Well
stay
done.
safe. Stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for listening. And if you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.